What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm going to be ranking the arcs in One Piece. Not exactly the arcs either. I don't have even close to enough time to be doing all of the arcs in One Piece because there's so many. I'm going to be doing the sagas, and if you don't know what that means, it pretty much is just like a super arc, right? Like, for a really good example, the Dressrosa saga has Punk Hazard as well as the time they're in Dressrosa. That's what it encompasses, so yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There are a total of 8 sagas in One Piece. You're probably familiar with all of them if you're caught up, of course. There is technically a 9th as well, the Yonko saga, but I don't want to include that one for a lot of reasons. 2 big ones being that it is not finished yet, and another because I don't really have any idea when it's going to end. I mean, theoretically, if it's called the Yonko saga, shouldn't it be pretty much at the end of the series almost? So yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't really understand when it's gonna end, so I'm not going to include that in the video. So starting out at the very bottom, I have the Fishman Island saga, and this one, actually funny since I just gave the whole explanation on what a saga is, pretty much only has Fishman Island. Technically it has immediately after the time skip when they're on Sabaody, but that takes so little time that it doesn't even really matter, right? So it's pretty much just the Fishman Island arc. And I don't know, I mean, you know, One Piece is great. Pretty much anything in One Piece I do enjoy, but this was just so much worse than everything else in my opinion. There was also one huge thing by itself that completely dragged the arc down for me, and I usually try to just ignore things that are really bad to me and try to, you know, just kind of act like it didn't happen and just look at the arc for what it is. But this was so extreme and actually affected the plot so much that I couldn't really just ignore it. And what I'm talking about is how Sanji could not handle seeing any women of any sort after he came back after the time skip, and this was continuing throughout Fishman Island. I mean, whatever, it was cool like when he saw Nami for the first time and he couldn't handle it, and then there was also Hancock. He actually just turned to stone by looking at her. She didn't do anything, she didn't use her ability or anything, he just turned to stone. So that was fine, I suppose, but it got kind of ridiculous when the fact that he couldn't handle just looking at a regular woman was putting the crew in danger. Like, we're talking serious danger. They actually thought he was going to die, and they were trying to defend him, and he's supposed to be part of the monster trio. They're defending him, like Chopper and whatnot. I mean, what is that? That's ridiculous. So yeah, we had that, and also the fact that pretty much nobody in the entire Straw Hat crew had any really awesome fight to watch. I was kind of excited to see them have these like really intense battles where they would, you know, be showing off all their new abilities, but that was not the case for anyone, really. I mean, we have this whole problem pretty much since the New World started where we have no idea what Zoro's capable of because he completely annihilates every single one of his opponents. We have no idea how much he's actually capable of because he faces all these noobs, right? Complete noobs. And that's pretty much how it felt like it was for all of the Straw Hats in Fishman Island, so that was pretty lame. And of course, I mean, I don't think I need to say too much about this. Hody Jones is probably the worst antagonist in the entire series, and I enjoyed the vast majority of the antagonists in One Piece, so that was pretty disappointing. Next on the list, I have the Sky Island Saga, and okay, we got 2 different people here right now. We got probably the majority of people watching this video who are not used to my content. They're seeing a video from me for the first time, and they probably already turned off this video, right? Because they're thinking, oh, this guy's an idiot. Skypiea is one of the greatest arcs in anime history. It's so awesome. It has all this world building. So you could be that, or you're used to this. You're completely prepared for me to not be happy about the Sky Island Saga, but you're probably surprised that it's not at the bottom. And here's the difference. Okay, here's the reason that Skypiea Saga is not, or Sky Island Saga is not at the bottom of my list. It's exactly that. It's because we're talking about the sagas, like I said, and I actually really enjoyed Jaya. And Fishman Island, like I said, was pretty much just Fishman Island. So I would say Sky Island and Fishman Island are almost exactly the same, just with the arcs themselves. Maybe just a slight advantage for Fishman Island. But I really enjoyed Jaya, so that gives the saga itself a little bit of a boost up. But just a brief rundown of why I did not like Sky Island so much. The reason it's going to be so brief, too, is because I'm actually planning on making an entire video on why I do not like this, but I would like to reread all of Sky Island before I do that. And I'm trying to crunch in the time, but you cannot even imagine how busy I've been. So, just to say the reasons I didn't really like it so much, for one thing, I don't really see how it had that much world building at all. I mean, sure, we get to see that there are now Sky Islands, that's alright, but those have barely affected the story in any way, shape, or form. I mean, pretty much at all. We now have Aruj, who is from the Sky Islands, so that's alright, but that doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't change the game, like how when we learn that the new world is a thing. That's world building. That's a game changer, okay? Having Sky Islands doesn't really do anything. There's very few implications that this has to do with the story. I also, once again, the same thing as I did with Fishman Island, did not enjoy the antagonist. He's probably my second least favorite big antagonist, of course. I'm not talking just regular, like Foxy. Okay, that guy is an abomination. He is just horrible. But Enel, I did not enjoy so much. I mean, I didn't really understand many of his motives. We didn't get any backstory on him at all, which was really disappointing to me. Like, why did we not get a backstory? That seems a little silly to me. Although it did have a pretty satisfying ending, and actually, you know, Luffy hitting the bell ended up making the top 25 emotional moments list video that I made earlier. Besides the very ending, I don't know. I mean, the pacing was pathetic, if you ask me, and I give Dressrosa a lot of credit for pacing, but I just thought that up until the very end, almost, it was completely terrible. I mean, the way that Haki was handled has kind of caused a lot of problems in the future. I just don't think it was really that good overall. And moving on to the last member of what I call the trash trio of One Piece sagas, we have Thriller Bark. And I don't really want to say too much about Thriller Bark. There's some obvious reasons I don't like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, so I don't even really have to explain myself so much here. But the best thing I can really say, and this is going to be weird, but this really is a big portion of my reasoning. I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. I was one of those kids that, you know, mom had a Honda Odyssey, so there's a TV in the car, and I had two little sisters. I am 5 years older than one and 7 years older than another, and they were significantly younger than me. So we had to watch whatever they wanted to watch. There was no compromise. There was no situation where I ever got to watch anything, and they wanted to watch Scooby-Doo at all times. And I just did not really enjoy it at all. It was pretty bad. And where I'm going with this is pretty much that Thriller Bark reminded me a lot of Scooby-Doo. And I know that's kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense to an extent, especially with the whole Florian Triangle monsters thing. Like, at the end there, Oda pretty much pulled off the trope that Scooby-Doo went for at the end of almost every single episode, right? Like, it would pretty much just go with the, oh, there's this monster, they solve it, find out it's just a regular person acting like they're a monster, tricking people, and then they solve the whole crime, whatever, they leave, and then, like, it goes back and shows you how there actually is a monster, and whatever, like, it did that in One Piece, and I really liked how they did it in One Piece. I thought that was pretty neat, but, like, I'm just saying that that's a perfect example of how it reminded me of Scooby-Doo throughout the entire arc, and I could not handle it, guys. It did have some amazing parts at the end, like pretty much one of the best parts of the entire series, where Zoro takes on Luffy's pain, right? We even get to see Kuma for pretty much the first time in any real interaction, so that was awesome. But I mean, without that, it was pretty much just, it could honestly be the worst on this list, if it was not for the ending there. Moria was pretty underwhelming. I was really disappointed by how shitty he was, considering I thought his Devil Fruit was pretty cool and overpowered. And I'm also not really a fan of any time the protagonist has to get some kind of weird power-up that didn't require any skill and they're not going to be able to use it in the future or anything. Of course, I'm talking about Monster Luffy. Pretty much the same thing that happened with Croc and Enel. I'm just not a fan of those kind of power-ups and whatnot, so yeah, not a totally good arc in my opinion. And next, getting outside of the trash trio, we have the Alabasta arc. This is a very exciting arc. This is the first arc that actually takes place in the Grand Line, so I would sure hope it would have been good. It would have probably turned a lot of people off of One Piece if as soon as they get to the Grand Line it really starts sucking. But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed Vivi as a character. I liked the whole plot that was going on. I mean, clearly it was good enough that they pretty much made a second Alabasta. Dressrosa had the exact same setup in almost every single way. Go check out my videos on the similarities between Dressrosa and Alabasta if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's insane. You should really check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I really enjoyed all these smaller islands they visited along the way, how they got to hang out with Vivi, that was cool. I enjoyed Little Garden, that was a very cool arc. Pretty much all of the Barak Works people were cool, especially the main guys, like the top 5 or whatever. I liked them a lot, and I thought that the fights that they had at the end of Alabaster were one of the best in the entire series, honestly. They didn't have any flashy abilities or anything. They were all just super intense battles. They were all close. I mean, the Usopp and Chopper battle, come on, that was great. The Zoro one, the Sanji one, even the Nami one was not that bad. I just thought that the fights were on a different level than what we've been seeing lately. I mean, Katakuri vs. Luffy's fucking awesome, but besides that, you know, I've been kind of disappointed as of late. So, yes, I definitely enjoyed the Alabasta arc a lot. And at number 4, getting onto the better half of the list, the East Blue arc. I bet not too many people are surprised by this. I feel like the top 3, with the exception of maybe one of them, and it usually is there anyway, are pretty much the top 3 most of the time on most people's lists, so yeah, this is pretty much all expected, I'm guessing, for most people. But we got some East Blue action here. Who doesn't like East Blue, right? If you didn't like East Blue, you probably wouldn't have finished One Piece, because it is the first arc of the series. There's so much going on. We get to see Shanks for the first time, we get to see little Luffy action, we get to see Luffy round up the first members of the crew so quickly. The pacing in East Blue was, without a doubt, the best pacing One Piece has ever seen. And this doesn't surprise me at all, since Oda wasn't exactly planning on One Piece going on this long, and he probably thought he was on more of a time crunch, right? But yeah, I mean, the pacing was on a completely different level, which helps a lot. Pretty much every island they went to, they picked up another crew member, and there were a lot of cool battles going down. I liked almost all of the antagonists. Arlong was cool, Kuro was cool, Don Krieg was fine. I didn't like him as a character, but I like how his place was in the story, right? I like what he did for it. And yeah, I don't think much needs to be said here. I mean, anytime you get like 5 different backstories on 5 of the main characters, all in like 50 episodes or whatnot, I mean, it's gonna be pretty good. And then at number 3, this is where I consider these arcs to be of godly proportions. All of them are so hard to pick between. 3 is definitely the easiest to sort out for me, because the top 2 are always interchanging for me. I can never pick which one's my favorite. But right now, I'm talking about the Summit War Saga, the War of the Best Saga, whatever you want to call it. Who does not enjoy this arc? I don't think I have ever seen a single One Piece fan say that they did not enjoy the War of the Best. And believe me, I have seen a lot of extreme opinions on One Piece. I mean, I've seen some crazy shit. In the last week, I have had not one, but 2 different people tell me that they think that Robin is stronger than Sanji, right? Like, this is real life. This shit happens in my YouTube comments. But I don't think I have ever seen anyone say that they did not enjoy this arc. At least, like, a lot, right? Like, it's almost like everyone's top 3 or something, for sure. I mean, who could not like it? Pretty much from the very beginning, it's awesome. The only bad thing about it is the Straw Hats aren't all there. Only Luffy's there. But, I mean, we do get to flash them every once in a while. But that being the weakest thing, that's pretty crazy that it could end up being such an awesome arc. But if you see what happens in it, you know. I mean, we get to see the best people in the world. It's called the War of the Best for a reason. We get to see some Marco action, Kizaru, Akainu, Aokiji, Whitebeard. And not really Ace, of course, because he's an idiot. What else do we get? We get to see Jozu, we get to see Vista, Mihawk, all the warlords, Dofi. I mean, come on, like, what more do you need to see? We even get Blackbeard at the end, Sengoku, we get to see that he has a Buddha fruit. Like, what in the hell? I mean, come on. You get to see just the coolest stuff in this arc. It even ends with Shanks coming in out of nowhere. Come on, guys. You have to enjoy the War of the Best arc. I mean, you have to consider that the best scene in the entire series happens in the War of the Best. Ace dies, right? Like, who wasn't happy about that? And coming in at number 2, and I always do struggle with these 2, but since we are talking about sagas, I think this one definitely needs to go at number 2. We have the Dressrosa saga. Punk Hazard drags it down a lot. I wasn't too much of a fan of Punk Hazard. I understand exactly what was going on. They were building up for Dressrosa, and I do appreciate that. That's why I do appreciate the Punk Hazard arc for what it is. But yeah, I'm mainly going to be talking about the Dressrosa arc here, because that was fucking awesome, right? Besides its kind of bad pacing, I don't think it's the worst thing of all time. I think there was a lot of shit going on. I think a lot of people don't realize, like, oh, it's 120 episodes. And it's like, It's like, yeah, 120 episodes. Oh yeah, it's so long. But you don't understand. And I made a video talking all about this. It's one of my biggest videos. So much fucking shit happened in Dressrosa. Like, it's not like it was necessarily just non-stop terrible pacing. Sure, it wasn't the best ever, but like there was just so much stuff going on. I don't know what really people were expecting here. And that's the thing, so much stuff went on. It's similar to the War of the Best, where it was just non-stop action. We had the Coliseum, we had all the Grand Fleet members showing off their abilities. We had so many different fights going on throughout the place. All of Dofi's top executives, even his regular executives, had battles. We got to see all of their cool Devil Fruits, because pretty much all of them had Devil Fruits. Dellinger didn't, I think, but he was awesome. I actually surprisingly liked him a lot more than I expected. I mean, come on, like, I think it was a fantastic arc. We got to learn a lot more about Law. We got Dofi, pretty much almost everyone's favorite warlord. We got to find out all about his backstory, all the powers his Devil Fruit has. So cool. Law's Devil Fruit, all that good stuff. The immortality stuff. I mean, just all this important stuff happening in Dressrosa. The fact that Dofi's a Celestial Dragon is a game changer. Law's immortality is a game changer. Fujitora introduced for the first time, and we learn about his motives. That's a game changer. I cannot have Dressrosa not be in my top 2. And then at number 1, and again, I don't think too many people will be surprised about this. I don't think that many people necessarily agree with me, but I'm sure that most people can understand where I'm coming from here. Of course, we have the Water 7 saga. That includes when they get to Water 7, as well as the Enies Lobby arc, right? I mean, is this not the greatest saga of all time? All of Water 7 was fantastic. Every single minute I watched Water 7 for the first time, I was enjoying myself. I really, like, this was the first time they really bumped up the animation, which was pretty cool. But it was supposed to be based on Venice. It was just awesome. All the ideas that Oda had with those traveling things, they were like some kind of sea lions or something. I don't know. They had some interesting name, but those were super cool. All the waterways that they had invented there were awesome. All of the shipwright guys were super cool. Of course, Kaku and Lucci were actually CP9, but that's okay. They were still awesome characters as well. I mean, all the characters in this arc were fantastic. We even get Frankie, who's a super cool character. I mean, it was just non-stop. Water 7 was fantastic alone, but then Enies Lobby happens, and oh my god, I mean, oh, guys, like, do I need to explain myself here? I mean, in my top 25 emotional moments, or what is top 5 emotional moments, right? Yeah. In that video, my number 1 is I Want to Live. Okay, I think that is definitely the case for a lot of people too. I think a lot of people consider that the best moment of the series. I have only cried one time watching One Piece, and I will actually say it is not I Want to Live. It is when Chopper looked back at the giant Sakura tree. But that's not the point. I came extremely close when I watched the I Want to Live part, okay? And I knew that it was vastly important, and that was the point that I realized that this could very well end up being my favorite series of all time, and here we are today. So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't think I need to explain myself too much for Enies Lobby. I would say that that arc probably had the best fights of the entire series by far. I don't think there's any real contest. Zoro's fight was insane, Sanji's fight was insane, Usopp's fight was insane, Chopper's fight was insane, Nami's fight was insane, and Luffy's, hello, like, was Lucci versus Luffy not the best fight of the series? I mean, come on. The way that it ended, just, I rewatch it all the time because it's just so awesome. I don't even really know what to say. It's just awesome. So, yep, there is my rankings for One Piece's sagas. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope I didn't tilt too many people. I'm pretty sure the only ridiculous one that I put out there was the Sky Island saga. I'm sure so many people clicked off the video at that point. I can't wait to find out because I can actually see at exactly what time people start clicking off of my videos, and I'm sure that that's going to be the big point, so I cannot wait to see that. Yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to leave me a comment letting me know what you thought about this video. Let me see your list. I would love to see what you guys think. I wonder if there's anyone with the Fishman Island saga at the top. That'd be crazy. I would seriously be blown away. Don't just put it there just because I'm saying that. I just would be very, very surprised if anyone said the Fishman Island was their favorite saga of the entire series. That would be insane to me. As always, I hope that this video was a good end to your weekend. I hope you guys have an excellent Sunday, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.